Welcome back to the pod. This is season 2, episode 8, MTP 7, Support Student Struggle. Hello. Today we're going to be talking about support student struggle, and I am the GM for this episode, Lola, if you can't tell. So support student struggles is basically providing students with different opportunities to engage in productive struggle as they kind of like discuss mathematical ideas, concepts, and relationships. And I feel like kind of doing that in different ways, like giving them multiple different types of opportunities in like different ways, like not only like having maybe like projects together, but like also like talking about it like amongst their like peers and stuff like that. And I have this little like thing that says, it's like a picture, and it says, how can we plan for productive struggle? And I got this off of Grec.org, Grec.org. And it says, 1, set goals and select appropriate tasks. 2, prepare ahead of time for possible struggles and misconceptions the student might have. 3, prepare ahead of time questions not to ask. 4, focusing versus funneling questions. And I feel like those are really important because, like, especially number 3, prepare ahead of time questions not to ask. Because, like, I literally never heard that, like, we should prepare to not ask questions. Because, like really, like, asking the most important types of questions, like, not, like, surface level stuff, but, like asking stuff that will really kind of, like, rearrange their thinking and not just kind of, like, surface level stuff is like what we really shouldn't be like asking them. When we really want them to like support their struggles, we kind of have to like ask them more in depth, like, how are you doing this, like, how are you solving this? And I also have a quote from Matt Larson, and it says, productive struggle equals responsive teaching. And I really like that because I feel like when a student is struggling, that's like where you can really teach them the most, because you get to hear of like what areas specifically you need to help them like do better in, and then it also kind of teaches you something about your lesson, like how can I help other students, like especially if multiple students are struggling with the same thing, like you can really like you respond to the students, you respond to how they're struggling, you respond to how they need to be taught. And I think that just asking students questions like questions that scaffold students' thinking without doing the work for them, like making sure that we ask them a good amount of questions, and again, like discussing, like thinking about what not to ask, and like to make sure that we're really not doing the work for them. Because if they're struggling, it can be really easy to be like, oh, I see, right here you made this like a 3 instead of a 2, and that's why you got it wrong. Oh, like, you know.
Also, if I may interject,
yes,
I've been thinking, but I was trying to find the right time to say this. This reminds me of when we were talking about in class, just in case versus just in time planning.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Like, don't immediately give students, like, the answer or give them, like, models or give them a chart, unless it's, like, obviously something that is completely new to them or, like, in a context that they've never tried before. Like, don't be like, oh, well, here's all this, and, like, here's the equations, like, whatever, like, but have them prepared for if, like, wait, I don't remember, like, just, like, wait.
No, it's okay.
Anyway,
I know
someone
what
help
you're
me.
saying. Like, asking them, like, the right questions, like not telling them how to do it. Like, kind of, like, not redirecting their learning, because I feel like I say that a lot, but kind of, like, going around it and, like, circling around it and not just being, like, this right here, like, pointing to it, like, this is what you need to fix.
Oh, yeah.
Choosing the right time.
Like, don't, like, immediately just, like, help them, but immediately give them the resources. But if there's, like an amount of struggle that you know that it's, like, oh, they're going to kind of think themselves in a hole and it's like not going to be productive anymore, then you have the resources.
Yeah, I really like that, like the right timing.
Yeah, I feel like that, like, obviously that's very important, but I feel like that's I feel like that might be difficult, especially for us, like, because we're not actual teachers yet.
Yeah.
I feel like that would definitely take practice, and, like, you really have to know your students in order to, like, do that correctly and effectively.
Yeah, because every student's very different.
You just have to know exactly, like how you said, like, okay, like, if this is their weakness, or this is what they need more help in, or this is what they're struggling in, like, I know exactly what to do and how to get that person successful.
Yeah, like, having a good idea of, like, what your students' abilities are.
And their progress as well.
Oh, yeah, that too.
Yeah.
Especially.
Yeah, like I've read a lot that like this like support student struggle, like the MTP 7 is really made for like helping students realize that their errors and struggles are a really big part of learning. Like we really have to teach them that like you really do have to make mistakes to learn, because there's just no like you can't just do it and know right away. Like that's just impossible. Like you really do. It's like trial and error every single time, and like students can be very like discouraged when they get it wrong. Like very discouraged. Like a lot of the students in my pre-prac class, well, like a couple, would just get really upset when they couldn't like either finish the work, or whenever they kept on getting something wrong, they would just like give up. Like they would just like throw their pencils down and be like move away from their desk and be like, I'm done trying. Like and like I understand that completely, because like when I was in school, I would get so frustrated by doing everything over and over and over again and getting the wrong question every time. Like it's honestly just impossible. It's really hard.
I just want to quickly jump in. And
go ahead.
Say how in my pre-prac, I have like a student who has a specific learning disability and also like a health disability. But anyways, I was teaching my lesson, like for both lessons, and then he's like, oh my god, he'll just like interrupt class and be like, oh my god, I'm not gonna finish it. Why did he finish it at first? Oh my god, I'm gonna get it wrong. And I'm like, buddy, like no, it's okay. It's at your own pace. Like
like
I just
telling them
exactly. You know, you have to be able to be calm and patient with them, because because you have to be able to tell them like you're doing fine. You're okay. You're not gonna fail. You're gonna be fine.
Exactly.
It's really
like reassuring them, kind of, especially when they have like, because that sounds kind of like anxiety. Because like I would also have a lot of anxiety with tests too. Like I would hate, I know I'm kind of getting off topic, but I would hate when I'd be sitting down and like it was like a test where you had to turn it in, like go up to the teacher and turn it in.
Oh yeah.
Because then I saw everybody else going up, and I'm always the last one to finish my test. Every time I'm always the last one, and like that's fine, because I take my time. I really want to make sure I get everything done. And most of the time, like, I'm just very slow at it. Like, so most of the time I wouldn't even be halfway done when people were already turning it in. And then that would make me be like, oh my god, no, I need to rush. And then I would get things wrong because of that. So kind of like telling them to go at their own pace, like, your errors, like, I don't know. I kind of went off topic, but.
No, I get, like, my students get super anxious about that too. They'll be like, oh, like 2-minute warning. They're like, what?
Yeah,
like what? Like, don't know how to finish. And I'm like, dude, I promise you, the world isn't gonna end if you don't finish. Like, it's okay.
We have working on it tomorrow, guys.
Like, come on.
It's okay.
Like, it's that math anxiety, like making sure that like students, do have enough time.
It's always there. Math anxiety will always be there.
Because obviously, if like no student is finishing, it's either like, oh. If you have the time, tomorrow, next class to finish it, like that's one thing. But if it's like a big topic and like no student is finishing, you have to think like, oh, is this struggle productive if no one is finishing? But if it's a couple students, it's like everyone works at their own pace. Yeah. It's like Lola, and honestly, slow and steady wins the race. My teacher literally read The Tortoise and the Hare.
I love
that concept.
I love how they always provided that concept for us, because I feel like that went with us throughout life. I still have people telling me that, like, to this day, like, because kids really like get that, because like the tortoise and the rabbit, I don't know, like it just makes sense. But I also wanted to talk about what productive struggle is, like what we're trying to like have them do for the students. Like, we're really trying to get them to develop deeper understanding of the content that we're teaching them. Like, just truly getting, like, a real, like grasp on the concept, just deeper understanding. We should also support student-centered learning. So kind of, like, again, going around the issues. Like, kind of, like, really, like, pinpointing the issue, explaining without telling them. And, like, really, like, do it all based off of the students' learning, the students' progress, all that. And we should also create a better understanding of the students' needs. Like, because, again, every child is different, every student is different, everybody in this room is different in all the ways that we learn, and all the ways that we teach, and everything. So, kind of like getting a better understanding of the students' needs, that really comes in with, like getting to know your class. Like, when we're, like teachers in a classroom with their own class, like, not just, like, practicum or pre-prac where we, like, are with the students. Like, we do get... Like, I feel like I did learn a lot about the students that I was in for my pre-prac, my general education, more than my special education. But with my general education class, like, I feel like I very much, like, connected with the students a lot. Like I feel like I learned, like, a lot about them, but not nearly as much as I needed to know to, like, make the content, like, not perfect, because nothing is perfect, but make it like truly good for them to truly understand, you know.
Yeah, and give them like that right amount of challenge, because obviously like we have to differentiate all of our lesson plans and like kind of plan for like our early finishers and then the students who need extra support. Exactly. But in our position right now in like pre-practicum, we're doing our best with like the little information we have about these students, but like if we're the actual teacher of that classroom, obviously you have more of an understanding of like, I'm going to give them this instead of this because that's the level that they're at right now. That's their most challenging level, and that's going to help them to move on, you know?
Exactly, like especially just coming into class with things ready for the students that finish things beforehand, students that need like stronger like problems, like a little bit like challenging problems, and then having work for like after or before for the students.
I never realized how important extension activities were until I was in Dr. Fontaine's history class, because we were always like would have to include an extension activity, and like we were working with littles. Well, actually, I think they were second grade.
I thought they were fourth grade.
I thought they were third.
Well, whatever. There's some grade, whatever grade you learn about the Industrial Revolution in Lowell.
Third grade.
You know what it was? We were making like theoretical lesson plans, like on like a concept, like we did. Me and Emma Roach did Ellis Island. But we added an extension activity. It was just a coloring sheet, and she commented and was like, "This is not a good extension activity for this grade level." And I was like, "What? Like why? Like they finished. Like why should I make them do more work?" But like in math, like that can be helpful. Like giving more opportunities for practice. Like I realized like maybe it is harder in history to like give another activity, because like I don't love history, so like if you're making me do more history after I finish, like I'm writing. But math, it's a little different. But like I think there's definitely like importance in having those activities to support their further learning.
I wanted to add on that. For my second lesson plan, I was doing equivalent fractions, and like for the extension that I did is for those students who like are able to finish very quickly at a very fast pace, I would give them another challenging sheet so they can get more practice with. But I'd have it like, I would tell them, okay guys, like just make sure that you finish the first handout that I give them, and then if you do finish, the second handout will be really, really good. Like it'll be more of a practice. So don't worry that if you don't reach this handout, and then I'd have, because I know students are so fast that I know that they're going to also finish the second handout, that I had another extension where I was like, hey guys, like grab a blank piece of paper, and then can you draw how you can represent equivalent fractions? So I made sure that that drawing activity wasn't just coloring or whatever, but that it had there's a reason behind why I gave it. And she was like, oh my god, this is perfect. And for the students who like don't finish quick, I would be with them and work with them, and I give them like a little mini cheat sheet. So I just think that it's very important that you balance those both things out.
So with that, like that reminds me of how we really have to be prepared, because whenever we end the lesson early, we have to have something in our back pocket for like all the students, like not only like students that like know a little bit more than others, or ones that are a little bit more like falling behind or something. Like we have to have something ready for each student. And like reflecting on my pre-prac, I like gateway lesson, or honestly just like every lesson I taught, I wish that I did like support more students' struggles, because I did like try to go around at the room and help every student like as best as I could, but I didn't provide them with like different like levels of work that they could do. And the only ending questions that I had was like a challenging questions for the students that did like have that extra like little piece of knowledge, you know what I mean? But it was also going to be beneficial for the other students who didn't. So that I just like kind of wish that I did more. But
I feel like it's it's a very hard kind of concept to apply, especially like since we're so new at it.
Yeah, exactly. We are very new at it, and once we become like teachers of their classroom, like we said a lot, like it would be a lot easier to understand our students. And then I saw this thing. It's on exploredlearning.com, and it's how to promote productive struggle. And some of the examples were giving students time, so like don't rush them through the math lessons. Like give them some time to really think, slow down the learning process, and like make the students really like have that information like stuck in their head. Another point was scaffold students' thinking, so like basically like providing step-by-step instruction to like really like again help the students like truly like grasp the concept of what they're learning and what they're struggling in. provide non-routine problems, which is I think is a really good idea, especially if we're really trying to help them with their struggles, to not let them do like the same problem every single time, constantly, like over and over and over again. Because this is like what you were saying, Lilia. You were saying like, hold on.
No, I was in high school. I don't remember like what class it was, but like we would get homework.
You would just do it over
in
and
the
over
book, and it's the
again.
Same, like obviously not the same numbers, but it's the same problem over and over and
Exactly,
over.
yeah.
And it's
Like
just
the
using a
procedure.
memorized.
Yeah, so you're just memorizing. You're not truly learning anything. Thank you for helping me. But yeah, and another point was foster a growth mindset, showcase problem solving, praise perseverance. So like basically just like kind of just like making sure that every like student is known for the efforts that they like really do. Like don't just be like, oh, you got it wrong, do it again. Like be like, oh, I really like how you did this. Like I see what you were trying to do here. Maybe let's think, like look back on this specific part.
Like elicit their thinking.
Yeah, exactly. Elicit the thinking and create a collaborative environment. And I feel like that kind of goes into like the last MTP that we did. That was discuss like
building procedural fluency.
the conversation one, I believe.
What? Facilitate meaningful conversations.
Yeah, facilitate meaningful conversations. Yeah, like really like getting the students to talk like amongst each other, to truly like really understand what they're talking about and kind of use each other to teach the subject more. Because sometimes you learn better from like your friend, or sometimes you learn better from your friend or like your classmate teaching you rather than a teacher.
Yeah.
You know?
And everyone explains something in a different way. And
exactly.
Like the way I explain something might not work for you, but it might work for Janan. Or like
exactly. Yeah.
And I think that when you know that a student needs extra help and extra support, it's good to talk to them and be like, hey, like sit down with them and be like, hey, look, I think that you need a little bit more help on this, and this is why I think you need help. There's nothing wrong with it. We're gonna be fine. Just so they understand that the specific reason why they're getting support.
And develop an academic partnership like we learned in the culturally responsive teaching book.
Yes.
Of course.
Yes. Yes.
Wow.
But yeah, I just think it's really important to be able to communicate with your students as well.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, like really communicating with them and making sure like we have like that connection with them where we can tell them where they're struggling and they won't be offended by it.
Like being proactive with it and making sure they don't fall behind.
Exactly. And I think this is a great way to end the podcast. Thank you for tuning in.
Bye.
This episode's credits go to exploredlearning.com and grrec.org, grrec.org.